So we just got done looking at 37. Now let's look at 38. And let's zoom in on 38 here. So we're going to solve this rational inequality. So this is like 3 over 1. So my common denominator is really that a plus 1. So I need to multiply over here by a plus 1 by a plus 1. Once you get the denominators the same, you can kind of ignore them and form your inequality from the top. Over here I need to distribute my 3, so it's 3a plus 3. Now I'm going to subtract 3. I'm going to solve this for a. So 0 is greater than or equal to 3a. I'm going to divide by 3. 0 divided by anything is 0 is greater than or equal to a. So there's what we get when we solve. We need to look at the, and I could have done this first, but my excluded value, notice I have an a plus 1 down here. Okay, and a plus 1, if I set it equal to 0 and solve, I'd subtract 1. So a equals negative 1 is my excluded value. So we're really thinking on the number line of our excluded value, negative 1, and our value got when we solved here, which is 0. So I like to try a number in between, but again, it's either going to work in between our negative 1 and our 0 in this case, or it's going to work for numbers bigger than 0 and less than negative 1. So if we go through this, and it can't actually be the excluded value, so if we go through this, let's try a number in between there. So I'm going to try a equals negative 0.5, negative a half. So here's my original inequality. 3 over a plus 1 is greater than or equal to 3. So if I put in negative 0.5 in for a right here, I would have 3 over 0.5 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, 3 divided by 0.5 is 6. 6 is bigger than or equal to 3. That is true. So when I tried negative 0.5, which is in the middle here, that worked. So that means everything in between negative 1 and 0 will work. Now, if you look at the inequality when we solved it, this part with the 0, where we got 0 is greater than or equal to a, had an equal sign on it, which means it's going to be include 0. Okay, we're going to go over and it's going to work in between. Now, we're not going to put a closed circle at negative 1 because actually negative 1 is an excluded value. So we're going to do everything up to negative 1 but not including it, so it's an open circle. Now, if you think about inequalities and how you've written inequalities where it's between two things, this would be your solution then and how you write it. It would be negative 1 is less than a, which is less than or equal to 0. And that would be how we'd write that solution for the values in between negative 1 and 0, not including negative 1, but including 0.